All right, South Florida, this is a special update on Tropical Storm Dorian. We have the latest advisory. Want to share that with you. So we're going to work through this together. This just came out. This is technically the 11 a.m. advisory, but it came through a little early. So the winds have dropped off a little bit as it's passed through for earlier Barbados and just most recently near somewhere around St. Lucia. So the winds have dropped off just a hair. The pressure is still fairly steady at about 1,005 millibars. So still a middle of the road tropical storm. On satellite, doesn't look that great. It's kind of raggedy, and you can see some of these gaps coming in on the bottom side. It's being impacted by dry air. That's been a problem with the storm so far. It's also still fairly compact, and these small storms, they're still subject to kind of throttlings up and down by the environment around them. So dry air has been causing a problem. Now, as we go forward in the forecast cone, watch what happens. It's likely that not a whole lot changes. The environment around this storm just stays fairly steady. Thus, the storm's strength stays fairly steady as it goes through the eastern Caribbean. So by Tuesday evening, winds still around 60 miles per hour. That's by tonight. Maybe some slight strengthening, but nothing drastic. And then by Wednesday and Thursday, we're approaching the islands. So we're talking about Puerto Rico, which is under a hurricane watch right now, also the eastern part of the Dominican Republic, and at or near hurricane strength, but still just below. The current forecast is 70. The question here is this: which track is this going to take? Because the track at this point and which island it does or does not hit is going to say everything about what happens afterward. If it's a weaker storm, it's likely to run headlong into the 10,000-foot peaks of the Dominican Republic. That will disrupt this core. If that were to happen, there wouldn't be much left of it on the other side. If it were to go be a little bit stronger storm, then it could hit the mountains of Puerto Rico. Not as bad of a disruption, but still some disruption. The thing is, some of the models have it going in between and basically missing. This is the Mona Passage, and if it does that, then it may still have a fairly organized circulation beyond once it enters into the part of the Atlantic and gets close to the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. So the National Hurricane Center forecast appears to be somewhat of a middle of the road, probably some disruption, but not necessarily an intact circulation. So by the end of the week, here we are Friday morning, winds down a little bit. The forecast is 65 miles per hour, somewhere over the southeast Bahamas, and then perhaps a slight turn to the north and west. By Saturday morning, the environmental conditions in this area somewhat conducive to at least some strengthening. So we see the winds coming back up at or near hurricane strength, and now we are by Sunday and staying somewhere in that territory. So again, a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty here, and trying to pinpoint where the storm will be at this point as we head into the weekend is really pointless, because we won't know until it impacts those islands and just how much of that circulation is left and then where it would be steered. But nonetheless, the current forecast does show at least the threat of a storm at or near hurricane strength by the time we get into this weekend. So let's put all this together for you. The key messages here: number one, the forecast is more uncertain than usual. The Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico going to have a storm at or near hurricane strength. It gets fuzzy after that. What will these mountains do, or will it miss them? Impacts to the Bahamas and Florida are possible late this week and this weekend. The bottom line with it all is have a plan and keep up with updates, and we'll be doing that right here at Local 10. We're going to have more for you coming up at noon. For now, back to your show.